Turn your football off.
It is muted, okay? You know, as an NFL owner, I am obligated to stay knowledgeable on all aspects of the game, okay, Joe? You wouldn't understand it because you're not an owner like I am, but
I'm gonna come to your house and kick you as hard as I can in the.
you were already at my house and you had the opportunity and you didn't. You missed out.
I decided to be nice,
Okay.
but it looks like that was a mistake.
Turns out, missed opportunity. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on another steaming hot edition of Cup of Joe's on the road. It turns out, as I am broadcasting here from Connecticut instead of my normal house in New Jersey, as I am working for the Olympics that are upcoming over the next couple of weeks. I am Joe Brown. I am one of your co-hosts, joined by my best friend, Joe Parian. And Joe, you know, we're even further apart than usual today by a couple of hours.
Yeah. And also just to make it clear, I am not on the road. Only Joe Brown is on the road. I'm still in my designated area that I usually am in.
Right.
So
Yeah. Well,
this is only Cup of Joe's Joe Brown on the road, just to be clear.
Well, you know, we tried to join the two-man bobsledding team, but we missed the applications, you know.
Yeah, we couldn't. We even tried to do like one of the other Winter Olympics. We tried to do the curling event and stuff like that, but we couldn't qualify. We were too good, they said. There wouldn't be any competition if we
wouldn't have been a competition. Yeah. Did you know, as I've been learning obviously more and more Olympic facts, that like there's over 400 hours of curling coverage in the Olympics? That's 400 hours of curling games. What do you think about that?
Sounds amazing.
It's pretty cool. I've been watching it. So
you said 400 hours of people sliding across the ice and scrubbing it.
And going,
yeah. We're actually
get it, Johnny, get it.
Cup of Joe's is no longer a gaming podcast. We are now a exclusively Winter Olympic podcast where we will only be talking about the Winter Olympics every 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for our fans. We're definitely making a niche cut now. But anyway,
niche but necessary cut, Joe.
Exactly. And we will only be talking about curling. Only sport is curling. But yes. So, moving on.
Yeah, well, I just want to say quickly to wrap up on it. So I am staying in Connecticut for the next month. So we're going to try to stay somewhat weekly, although my schedule is going to be a bit of a difficulty at this point, but we'll try to stay somewhat weekly episodes. And I'll be here through February. So it won't be until probably March where I'll be home again for the next episode. So if episode releases are a little delayed, that's on me because I'm living on the other side of the world 13 hours ahead. You know, I'm working when everyone else is asleep because that's like the afternoon in Beijing. So just wanted to give that update for any listeners.
For a second, when you're like, I'm on the other side of the world 13 hours ahead, I'm like, dude, you're only in Connecticut. What are you talking about?
No, yes, technically I'm in Connecticut, but we're working out. Like I'm working overnights, like 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. or 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I know. It's just like for a brief moment, I was like, Joe, you're in Connecticut. Chill out.
Connecticut might as well be its own world, you know? It's very different.
Exactly. So, Joe, why don't you tell me what's going on in a galaxy far, far away?
It would be my pleasure, Joe. So we have 3 topics today, and this is the first one. Comes to us from Game Informer, and it is the news that Respawn Entertainment is currently developing multiple Star Wars IPs, including the next Jedi Fallen Order game. So as we skim through this article, it stated that the developers behind Titanfall, Apex Legends, and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order are looking to expand upon the galaxy far, far away once again. EA Lucasfilms Games dropped a press release this morning that announced Respawn Entertainment's upcoming Star Wars IPs. Multiple titles in the works, including the next chapter in Jedi Fallen Order universe, an FPS with Peter Hirschman, who was the executive producer of the original Battlefront games, and a strategy game via a publishing collaboration with Bit Reactor. So, Joe, I ask you, which of these 3 well, 1, are you excited in general for any of these? And 2, on top of that, which of these 3 upcoming games are you the most excited about?
Well, I wanted to play the Fallen Order video game. And now that I actually can, because it's on Game Pass. It looks real fun. But I don't know. I would have to know what the other games are for me to be like somewhat excited about it.
Well, the Peter Hirschman guy's the producer from the original Battlefronts, like back in the day, and we had a lot of fun with those back in the day.
Yeah, but is it going to be story based? Is it going to be like online? How the like the Battlefront games are? Like what are we going with here? Like what's it going to be like? If it's like a story based game, then like sure, I could be excited about it. If it's just going to be like how it is now with a little bit of story mixed in, I don't know if I'll be as excited about it. You know what I mean? Like the new these new the Jedi Fallen Order game is very interesting to me and like intriguing to me because it's a story based game, and that's what I mainly go for a lot of the time. It's like, yeah, the online stuff is fun, but I get tired of it real quick, and I like a story. Like, to be completely honest with you, Joe, the thing that's been sucking up most of my time right now since I beat Halo is I've started playing Psychonauts 2, and I have fallen in love with that game. And I'm like maybe halfway done with it. I don't even know if I'm halfway done with it. And it's like I'm very much dedicated to solving all of the mysteries in that game right now. So that's what pushes me forward for a video game. So I can't really say I'm super excited because this one dude is making this game because he made this other game. It was like, well, he could be making a game that's like built towards what people want now, which is a lot of online heavy based gaming.
Right.
But yeah.
So let me fill you in on Jedi Fallen Order then, because I did play it when it came out. I beat the game. It was pretty tough. There were, obviously the Dark Souls light memes were in abundance when Fallen Order came out, because it does definitely give you that sense of dread and frustration and slow moving, and one mistake screws you over and you got to restart the whole fight and stuff. So I will say, story wise, I was definitely interested, but it didn't really grip me. Like I'd say like the biggest feature or plus to Fallen Order was the gameplay more than story, even though there was like certainly a story going on. You know what I mean? Like there was definitely implications, and he's the last the last whatever
surviving Jedi.
Right, he survived Order 66, but then he's the last one, but then you run into like 3 other people that are also the last one. It's just ever expanding. The amount of people that survived execute Order 66 is just really makes you think that it's not as successful as the movies made you think. But so it does have a really cool world, and it's set up a lot of characters within that universe. So I think that is what could be exciting about the Fallen Order sequel. And the gameplay will be good. Although I did want to chuck my controller multiple times, but I mean, I didn't, and I beat the game. Now for the FPS, I definitely enjoyed the old Battlefronts more than the newer two, obviously. The wrinkle in this discussion is that it is still EA right behind the helm. So it's not like, okay, just, yeah, we're gonna get the good guy who made the one we liked back in the day, but he's still gonna have those microtransaction nudges from the top guys, right? So it's not like he's gonna be able to just do exactly what he wants. And to my recollection, Battlefront 2, by the end of its like, popularity cycle, ended up being a pretty enjoyable online shooter experience. Like our friend Francisco Alvarez used to play it on stream all the time, like years after it was released. So even if they do go down that road, it was good gameplay after they got rid of most of the grindy microtransaction nonsense. Now, the third one, this is my answer, Joe. The strategy game via publishing collaboration with BitReactor. One, I don't know who BitReactor is. We tried to Google it, couldn't find anything. It looks like they're a company in Maryland, but couldn't really find too much else out of it. So if they've made a lot of games, I couldn't find it, and I could be wrong. But I would love to see. We don't know what type of strategy game is, but if it's like a tactical strategy game, like an XCOM, like a turn-based thing, or I would love to see Valkyria Chronicles style Star Wars game. I know it would never happen, but that's my JRPG mind going wild there. So I would like, let's go easier and say an XCOM turn-based strategy style Star Wars universe game. I would be super down for.
Yeah, that could be interesting. That'd be fun to see. That would be pretty cool, actually.
So have I
like,
swayed you in any way? Sorry, go ahead. What point you were saying?
I was gonna say, like, can you imagine it being like them even like basing the game off of like the first movie, where you start off with Luke, who gets picked up by Obi-Wan. So you have Obi-Wan and Luke, and then you have Chewie and Han, and you're like this unit, and then you have the dramatic scene of like Obi-Wan getting killed by Darth Vader.
Spoilers,
and like
bro.
you escaping. The movie is old at this point. But like, you know what I mean? Like, that'd be pretty cool to have like that RPG-esque turn-based battling system like that, and having just like a group of people that you fight against and put like buffs into, and like, you gain more people in the party. Like you'll have like Leia at one point, and then you can maybe have like some Ewoks with you, C-3PO, R2-D2.
I mean,
that could be a
cool.
fun. That could be a fun thing to do if they just like redid the old trilogy. That'd be an interesting go around.
I think it would be cool, but like just thinking about the strategy game, I think, and especially because this is Respawn who is working on it, and they kind of made, yes, Jedi Fallen Order is within the main universe and obviously takes place between 3 and 4 and is it is a canon storyline, but it really is its own side thing. Like, you don't really need to know who Luke Skywalker is to play Fallen Order. So like, my thought process is their strategy game would be another side, like war story, some malicious story where you are playing as either the Alliance or the Rebels, or in some way. And so I think that's more likely than them. Like, I think it's more likely that they make their own story and build upon it like they did in Fallen Order, than if they try to like repackage a story we've already seen and turn it into a strategy game.
No, you're right. I'm just saying that would be pretty cool. Like, they could definitely do something like from the Clone Wars and stuff like that.
And then because it's EA, you gotta have DLC, and then we get DLC Jar Jar Binks in the game.
Nah, he's gone, brother.
$20.
Boy's gone.
$20.
Jar Jar. No one pay for worst DLC they've ever had.
Hey, but they're gonna get one guy to pay for it, and they're like, hey, money well spent. And that one guy is me, Joe.
Yeah, you're the one dude who continuously does the Jar Jar Binks impression.
Oh man. Okay, yeah, I think that's pretty good discussion on it, right, Joe?
Yeah, it's pretty good discussion on it. So let's move away from Star Wars and go to something else that's sci-fi-esque and fantasy-based, and talk about how Critical Role, the critically acclaimed online Dungeons and Dragons real play show / podcast, has finally released after 2 years their Kickstarter backed animated TV show, based off of the first campaign that they did, that stars the adventures of the traveling mercenary group known as Vox Machina. All of the characters are role played by their original role playing actors or players originally from the first game. We got Ashley Johnson, we've got Travis Willingham, we got Laura Bailey, we got oh my goodness, Liam O'Brien,
That's
got
your boy,
Taliesin
Liam.
Jaffe. He's not my boy. Taliesin Jaffe, I love him. Liam O'Brien is a great guy though. We got why can't I remember his name? Sam something. He's also one of my favorite boys.
I just
remember
love
his
him.
name.
I just love him so much that I don't care about his last name.
It like slipped. Sam Riegel. I knew
Regal.
I had
Yes,
it
that does sound familiar. Now that you said it,
I didn't want to mess it up. And then of course we also have Matt Mercer. And we have his lovely wife, Marisha Ray. All playing their characters that they played in the campaign when it was airing on. First, it was on one YouTube channel, and then they moved it over to their own YouTube channel and on Twitch. But essentially, the beginning part of the show, because they're releasing it in 3-episode increments every week until the 18th of February, is they did the first 2 episodes were pretty much storyline based before they actually started streaming their game, which was pretty cool to see that information before, because when you started watching it while they were streaming, Vox Machina had already made a name for themselves in the world of Tal'Dorei, and they had been known as a big adventuring group. Where here they're kind of like nobodies, they're at the bottom of the barrel, and we kind of slowly just like kind of see them get thrusted into greatness in this moment. And then in the 3rd episode onward, we're going to be seeing the story of the Briarwood arc that was in the game, essentially mainly covering what Taliesin Jaffe's character Percy went through with his family, and it involves a lot of vampiric elements as well as deadly necromancy. But the show is very, very well done. It keeps very well to the way that the characters were played originally. Amazon Prime gave them a lot of freedom to do whatever they wanted. Like within the first 10 minutes of the show, Scalen Shorthall, which is played by Sam Riegel, his character is a bard, and throughout the community, a bard is a seducer. And Sam Riegel played his character very as a very seductive ladies' man who was a gnome. So he's a short bard, and within the first like 10 minutes of the show, he's already having sexual interactions with a different character in the show. Not one of the main characters, just a side character. You see his balls at one point. It's very funny. It very much sticks to what they kind of did with the show originally when they were playing it. It's a very fun show, especially for people who were originally listening to the podcast or the show as it was airing on Twitch and YouTube and all that good stuff. Even if you're just new to the whole scene.
So wait, hold on real quick, Joe. How many episodes is it like a weekly thing, or did it all drop at once?
No, yeah, like I said, they'll be dropping 3 episodes every Friday until the 18th of February.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I was just, thinking because like a lot of companies are going back and forth in their like release models. You know what I mean? Like some are dropping it all at once, like Queen's Gambit, but then other things like Arcane was the 3 episodes a week, you know?
Yeah. This is going to be a very interesting thing because I feel like this show is going to get a lot of traction because of how large the community is. Also, there is a lot of interest in it, I think, right now. So I'm hoping that this Amazon picks up the Vox Machina show for another season, which would be great if we could do the entire campaign in a show. That'd be very, very fun to see. But yeah, it's fun, Joe Brown. Even if you haven't even like watched a D&D thing before, this show is primarily just like a fantasy based show where it's a bunch of characters going around and killing things and getting into some dumb hijinks. So I think you should give it a shot.
Yeah, I watched the trailer earlier and I actually enjoyed it. I was a little like taken aback because the trailer, it's like kind of one of those red band trailers where they're cursing and like, you know, being a lot more mature in a regular trailer. And I just wasn't expecting it, especially with like the fantasy animation visuals, right?
Yeah.
But like the more the trailer, so at first I was like kind of weirded out, but the more the trailer went on, I was like, all right, you know, obviously I know these voice actors, I like these voice actors, like I like the idea behind this, and I like what it represents going forward for Critical Role, because you can continue with more seasons, like you said, to actually finish out the full campaign. I don't know. I laughed at like a moment where they're just like giving each other middle fingers. I don't know why, but there was like a floating golden middle finger at one point, and I'm like, okay, I'm down with this. I don't know why, but I'm down with it.
Yeah.
And I saw, I think it was, I don't know if it was a tweet or an article or something that Matt Mercer was in an interview and he said like the Vox Machina show is giving Matt Mercer the perfect or the opportunity as a
To
DM
run the
to
perfect
write
campaign.
the perfect campaign or something like that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it gets rid of any clunkiness from any of their moments of doing the D&D campaign and streamlines it to like the really good chunks of it.
Yeah. Like that's what makes it like Critical Role's like D&D show different than like a lot of other D&D podcasts at the moment, because the way that they describe themselves is it is a real play D&D podcast, which includes all of the management of items and battles and like real rules situations, whereas something like Dungeons and Daddies and what is it, Dungeons and Daddies and kind of like the Adventure Zone have characters that have plot armor, wherein Matt Mercer's campaign with Critical Role, characters like especially it's like a very long down the line for campaign one, Scanlan Shorthall has a very real what is it, like death that happens, but they are able to resurrect him because they had supplies to do it, but it doesn't always work. So like they do all the rolling, they do all this stuff. There is nothing that's like kind of like made up. And like Sam Riegel thought that his character was actually gonna die, so he had made a new one, and the campaign had changed for a minute because Sam wanted to try his new character out and have Scanlan Shorthall, his original character, pushed to the side for a little bit. So Scanlan was actually missing for a large chunk of the campaign in the middle of it. But yeah, so that's what makes for me, it makes it a little more interesting to watch Critical Role sometimes than other places, because there's a lot of like actual D&D playing happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll give Matt the ability to have his entire story streamlined, and it also makes it easier for him because the entire game finished with everything kind of like mapped out, and that's how they're able to do what they're doing more streamlined based, like I said, because literally there have been people who've kind of like cut out like all of the battling and all of the stuff that's like pushed to the side that makes it kind of like clunky, and it's just like streamlined story.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got it's definitely going to be a pretty fun ride, I feel like.
I am definitely gonna check it out because it's a cool concept, and I hope it helps Critical Role continue it down, and maybe this, who knows, 5 years from now get the second campaign into a show and whatnot.
Yeah,
because we like those people, so we want to see them do well.
Yeah, like Joe, did you watch Invincible?
No, I've seen the memes, but no, I didn't watch it.
Oh, because like the way that this show kind of looks and acts is kind of like how Invincible does, where it's like,
I was thinking
it's
that
like
while
cartoony
watching the
and stuff like
trailer.
that. Yeah, it's kind of like that. There's like a lot of blood and gore and like stuff like that. Like literally, Joe, the first like the opening to the show is hilarious, and I feel like you would love it.
I'm down.
All right, why don't you open me up to the next topic, Mr. Brown?
All right, it will be my pleasure.
What's our last topic?
Last topic of the pod this week. I'm gonna watch Vox Machina. I'm excited to see what happens, but I'm not nearly close to as excited as I am to see what happens in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. The caveat to that is now James Gunn has come out and said this will be the last Guardians film with this crew. So this is an article on Polygon from Austin Goslin. It says Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will be the end of the road for this particular band of scrappy misfits, according to series director James Gunn. The upcoming superhero film, which is currently scheduled to be released on May 23rd, 2023, so more than a year away, will close out this team's trilogy and story, the director told Deadline on its Hero Nation podcast. Gunn was definitive in saying that this would be the last time people saw this group of characters together as the Guardians of the Galaxy, saying, quote, "This is the end for us. This is the last time people will see this team of Guardians." And then then he continues his quote, I think the first 3 movies tell a single story, and that story is pretty simple. Gunn told the Toronto Sun, I think that there could be a Volume 4, but it would not be the same. It would not be the same group and would not be telling the same story. I don't want to get too much into it because it will spoil too much, but I think basically the story of this group ends with Volume 3. So, Joe, let's have a discussion here. You and I both love Guardians. I think I can't speak for you. I'll speak for myself that the 2 Guardians movies are both in my top 5 MCU films out of ranking all of them. I played the Guardians of the Galaxy game last year. I played the Telltale Guardians of the Galaxy story game. I've bought Guardians comics before. I'm a big Guardians guy. You are the crushed. Guardian. I am Star-Lord. I would be crushed if the Guardian storyline ends after the 3rd movie. I just want them to be pumped out forever. Is that too much to ask for?
Well, maybe they'll pick up a different story of the Guardians, though. Maybe it could be a different group. Like he said.
All right, so let's dive into that. What do you think he means, besides obviously like an important character dying in the group? Is that the only thing he means, or does he mean other things are going to happen too that are like the reasons why we won't have anything after Volume 3 with this group?
I don't necessarily think that a character will die. I think that the Guardians have already had a blow hit to them with Gamora dying and then coming back, and like I think what's going to happen is they're all kind of going to retire, and we're going to see another group pick up. Like maybe we'll get what's the dude with the arrows name? I can't remember his name right now. Starts with a Z, I think. Peter Quill's like guy. He whistles, the arrow flies around.
Yeah, I can't. Well, didn't he croak it in the last one?
Yeah, but his old crew came together at the end. Steven
Oh
Stallone.
yeah,
Not Steven
and
Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone. Yeah,
Sylvester Stallone. Maybe we'll get a story about them. That'd be pretty cool. See a whole new group of characters doing a whole new group of things. Because like everything's kind of changing in the whole MCU shtick,
Right.
right? Like Iron Man, Dunzo. We're gonna get Ironheart soon. What is it? Thor is handing it off to Jane Foster, and then in his movie, Thunder and Love, like Captain
Right.
America's not Captain America anymore. Like everything's changing. So why wouldn't the Guardians change? You know what I'm saying?
Well, because I don't know. I think it is somewhat different to like just have these 5 or 6 Guardians walk off and then have a new set of 5 people still be the Guardians. It's like it's different than Iron Man passing the mantle to somebody else, or well, I think Shuri is going to be prominent in the next Black Panther, obviously, since Chadwick Boseman passed away. Like those are different things where they're passing along the mantle to someone else to like do their own thing. But if we just take Peter Quill and Gamora out, and then some other guy comes in and still says he's the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy, like with no attachment, that would seem a little more like hard to get adjusted to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. I
I don't know. Just
understand.
for me, like I think it's more likely that a death is going to happen than not, because that just seems like how Marvel likes to Marvel likes to write stories. The only way to like finalize a character, except for Captain America, which just opened more questions than it answered, um, is to like have them die. Right? It's a very strong storytelling mechanic, or tool, I should say. So, like, if I had to guess, no, or I'll go to you, Joe first. Like, if you had to guess who dies, excuse me, like who in the crew do you think is most likely to, like, I don't know, sacrifice himself for the greater good or something like that? Who's gonna bite the dust?
Uh it could possibly be. There's a few characters that I think about. Part of me thinks Peter, but Peter wouldn't leave Gamora behind. Not after everything that happened in the last movies. Drax doesn't have really a family anymore, so it could be him.
And he
And
doesn't have
maybe,
Thanos to kill, which was his whole motivation as a character,
yeah,
right?
this is true. Yeah, and then we could also think about Rocket. Rocket could go, or if we wanted to do it again, we could say goodbye to Groot, but I don't think
No,
we'd
don't
do
make me
that
do it.
again.
I can't go through that.
But isn't Nebula also part of the group now?
She is a part of the Guardians now, yes.
So it could maybe even be her, but I
Also,
highly doubt it.
is it Zandu? Is that the Z? The Z name of the blue guy?
Maybe. I thought this
Well,
was your favorite movies.
I know, dude. Listen, I'm not a Zandu guy. I'm more of a Drax and Mantis fan, you know.
Mantis.
Dude, I love Guardians 2. She's like by far the best character in that movie. She is phenomenal in the Telltale Guardian storyline. She's still funny in the was it Ubisoft one from last year. She's still a good character, but like in Guardians 2 and in the Telltale game, she's like by far the best character in both of those stories. So I'm a huge Mantis fan. I love her. I was actually gonna suggest that there's a chance that it could be Mantis that sacrificed herself, because the more she's around the Guardians, the more like human, quote unquote, she's becoming, and compared to her celestial storyline that she started with, and like being so different, like she's a part of the gang now. The other
Yeah.
issue is, and then I would say Drax, for the same reasons you brought up. He has no ties, he has no family, he has no motivation because Thanos is dead, he could have a nice send-off sacrificing himself. And in the Telltale game, he also does sacrifice himself, and like for an episode and a half, they're like, "Oh damn, Drax is really dead," and then it's like, "Ah, nah, just kidding, got you guys, fooled you, scared you." So the other big storyline element that we haven't talked about, a lot of people haven't, is the teaser that Adam Warlock is going to be in Guardians 3. And we know he's going to be in Guardians 3. And we know those gold people from the end of Volume 2, where they stole the money from, are going after the Guardians as well. And Adam Warlock is one of those gold people. This is actually a conversation I have with my brother all the time, because he's a big Adam Warlock fan from the comics with Thanos. Because Adam Warlock is the guy that always comes around to kick Thanos' butt. And this time around, obviously, Thanos isn't around for him to stop. So you're going to need a new big bad thing that you need the celestial power of Adam Warlock to stop. And that's where I'm like thinking, well, Mantis is also a celestial. Adam Warlock's going to need to stop something. Like, is there going to be such a catastrophic universe event that like this group just can't recover from, and also no future story with this group of a team could even like live up to that storyline?
Oh boy, yeah, because they definitely teased Adam at the end of the last movie, right?
Yes,
that was that whole thing.
We saw we've seen the gold paint
pod.
and the hair in the pod, yeah. So we know he's real and we know he's there. And now that his like Adam Warlock was a character, like I think in the 90s, literally created to stop Thanos. And now he doesn't have to stop Thanos. So like, what's he going to work with the Eternals, or he's going to go help out Peter Parker in the city? Like he needs a big threat to stop.
Yeah, no. Well, but isn't Adam Warlock bad? Or is he a good character?
He's like,
he's a neutral character.
Yeah, he's not bad, but like he has such overwhelming power that like it's very easy for him to become bad. If he uses his power, not responsibly, like if he succumbs to the dark, like that even happens in the Guardians game from last year. There's moments where he a big part of the villain is actually spawned off of how powerful that Adam Warlock was. So he's kind of like trying to he's trying to balance his own strength and his own power with the side effects or the possible downfalls of if that power is being put into the wrong hands. So I wouldn't say he's a bad guy. Maybe he's like true neutral in the D&D sense. Like he just has to do what he has to do, not chaotic or evil or anything like that. I wouldn't say he's a bad guy in the Thanos sense.
Okay, so yeah, I guess you're right. There would have to be some cosmic level threat for him to really be doing anything, or
he is the threat too, right? Because he's misunderstood. Like he could be because he's so powerful, like he could be misunderstood as evil at first. Like he could be the threat.
Yeah, I think that's what I was gonna go with. Like, but if you're saying he's so powerful, how could they even fight against him if he's this threat? Like they did fight against Ego, and he was kind of a very large threat, but it was also because Peter had that kind of like inner power to maybe try to help with it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It would just be great to see. But isn't there a movie coming out with Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor in it?
Okay, I was gonna ask the same question. So because I'm pretty sure that through the Endgame storyline, it was set up that Thor was going to join the Guardians after he like hung out with them when they saved him in space and stuff. And that was always like the story was like, oh, okay, Thor is going to end up with the Guardians now, and that'll be really fun. And that's why Thor's movies became more comedic and lighthearted to match the tone of the Guardians and stuff, and get in setting with those characters. And then now we have the movie where he's just like helping out Valkyrie, and now Natalie Portman's going to be Thor and stuff. And then, so I don't know if they abandoned that storyline or they just really haven't promoted that he's still a part of the Guardians or not.
Because there was going to be that movie, and then Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Right.
You know, like at least that's what I thought.
Yeah, we could be mistaken, but I believe
happen?
that was also, so what, Thor, was it Love and Thunder, right?
Thor,
Something like that. That is this year, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. There's too many Marvel movies. We got like Doctor Strange and other stuff, but I think that's this year. And then Guardians 3 is next year, 2023, they said.
Okay, then I think they might have changed the Guardians, the movie name, to Thor Love and Thunder, because I think the Guardians will be in that movie.
And that does make that makes sense because, and it says even in this article, before James Gunn was fired and then rehired by Disney, the original Guardians Volume 3 was supposed to release in 2019, which would make sense why Thor would still be attached to them because of how close that was with Endgame.
Yeah.
Now there's been other stories that have happened since then. You know, it's going to be releasing a full 4 years after it was intended to release. So
there we go.
So I don't know. I'm just nervous, Joe. All right. I don't want them to, if they are going to give them the send off into the sunset, I want it to be good. And I just question if they're able to stick the landing.
Yeah, change is difficult. We will say this. Change is rough.
Just don't kill Mantis. That's all I ask.
They've been doing pretty good with these movies. There's been no super rough landings as of late, knock on wood. So I have high hopes.
Okay.
You know?
I love that half of us are positive. That's a whole 50% of the conversation is positive right now.
That's the thing, Joseph. I have to be positive because you were constantly negative.
Wow. Hurtful, not dishonest, but doesn't mean it's not hurtful nonetheless.
Well, then fix your attitude, mister. There you go.
How about I fix that for the next episode, Joe?
I don't know if that's going to happen.
Because we'll be talking Pokemans.
Pokemans. Have you? Oh, I was going to ask you that. Have you picked it up yet?
Yes, I just started playing it today. I had to download an update on hotel Wi-Fi, which was less than ideal.
God awful.
Like I tried to update Legends of Runeterra yesterday, and it was like, I don't know, 800 megabytes or something, and it took like an hour and 45 minutes to update. It was just brutal. But yes, I did start. I played for 2 hours and I stopped, 1 because we were recording, and 2 because I was at 10% on my battery. So right after we're done recording, I'm going to go back to playing Pokemon, and I say that that's now, Joe.
All right. Well, it's been great for you guys to have joined us on this episode of Cup of Joe's. I've been your host, Joe Perry, accompanied by my best friend, Joseph Brown. We're going to get to this Pokemon games ourselves, and we will both see you on the next episode of Cup of Joe's.